Hi guys, welcome back. Miss A here. Today we're going to be talking about closing costs. So far, when purchasing a house, we have talked about mortgages, we have also talked about interest, and now we also, when we purchase a house, have to talk about closing costs because that's also going to be included. So we are going to be able to define closing costs and what fees are included, and hopefully by the end of this we will be able to calculate closing costs and fees. I want to start with a few important vocabulary words. Closing is going to be a meeting attended by the lawyers, sellers, buyers, and normally an accountant. So lawyers, sellers, buyers, and accountant. The closing costs are going to occur when the title of property is transferred from buyer to seller. So the buyer is going to be paying for those. And they're going to go from buyer to seller. The buyer and seller must sign a number of documents to formalize the mortgage, distribute funds, and transfer ownership from of the property to the buyer. Closing costs may include fees for the property survey, loan application, document preparation, and points. So that's going to be a fee. And again, this will all happen at that closing meeting. All right, on to the next. An appraisal is going to be a survey of the property by an authorized person, tells how much a property is worth. They're going to look at the land, they'll look at the house, and then they appraise it, and then they will give you a number on how much that property is worth. A title, a common law equitable title, is a document that provides the ownership of the property. Just saying that you own it. And then title insurance is insurance that you have to protect. Let's move that up a little bit. The holder of the title and property due to legal defects. So again, the title is just saying that you own that property, and the title insurance is just meant to protect you. All right, last but not least, inspection is a limited, non-invasive examination of the condition of the home. Whoops, let's fix that quick. Condition of the home, often in a connection with the sale of that home. Home inspections are usually conducted by a home inspector. And that is their title, home inspector, who has training and certifications to perform such inspections. The inspector prepares and delivers to the client a document of their findings. And based on what they find in that inspection, it could affect the appraisal, which is what we talked about on the last screen, of the home. So it could bump up the worth, so make it worth more, or make it worth less, depending on what they find. So here's a list of some closing costs that you could see: a fee for an application, a borrower's credit check, appraisal fee, a title search, and then that title insurance, the money for the inspection, an attorney fee, and a processing fee. So notice how some of those are just chunks of numbers, and then the processing fee is going to be a percentage of the mortgage. So we're going to look at this chart for our practice problem. So go ahead on to the next. It says USA Mortgage has approved a mortgage loan for Mr. and Mrs. Smith at a 3.5% annual interest rate for 15 years. Their home has a $100,000 selling price, and they need a 10% down payment. USA Mortgage will allow them to finance the closing costs as part of the mortgage. Use the chart on the previous slide to find the total closing costs. What is the amount they have to finance? So there's a lot there, so why don't we break that down? We know that our interest rate is 3.5%. Let's change that. 3.5%. For 15 years, the home has a $100,000 selling price, and they need 10% down, and then they can take out a mortgage for the rest. So we know how to calculate our down payment. It's going to be our cost of our house multiplied by our down payment percentage, which is 10%. So our down payment is going to be $10,000. And then we also know from last week that our mortgage is going to be the total cost of the house minus our down payment. So the mortgage is going to be $90,000. All right, I went ahead and calculated the interest, and I got $47,250. Hopefully you got the same, and we can move on. So our closing cost, we are going to add up all the numbers that they give us. And on top of that, we're also going to have to calculate this number, which is going to be 1.10% of our mortgage. So why don't we go ahead and do that first? If you'll remember, our mortgage is $90,000, and we're going to multiply that by 1.10%. So it's going to be 0.110. And from that, we are going to get $990. Okay, so I went ahead and I added all those up, including that $990 that we found for the processing fee, and I got my closing cost to be $3,054. So once we find that, we got to find our total to finance. And our financing is going to include our mortgage plus interest plus our closing costs. So let's go ahead and add those up. Our mortgage is going to be $90,000. Our interest is going to be $47,250. And our closing costs are going to be that $3,054. And once you add all those up, you should get a grand total of $140,304. And that is going to be the amount you have to borrow from the bank. All right, let's practice another one. Renee and Jefferson want to purchase a house for $560,000. They plan to put 25% down and finance the rest through Peabody Savings. Peabody has these closing costs: the application fee for $325, a $90 for credit report, $555 for appraisal, title insurance for $490, $325 for photographers and surveys, $65 for legal fees, and $1,789 for the first 6 months of their property tax. How much will Renee and Jefferson need to bring to the closing in order to secure the loan? All right, I calculated 25% of $560,000 to be $140,000 for their down payment. Let's just label that as down payment. right, next we're going to have to calculate our closing costs. So why don't we go through and add all those up, and then we just have one more step. All right, so I went ahead and I read through our question again. I pulled out all the numbers that we needed for our closing costs. That 325, 90, 555 for appraisal, title insurance 490, this 325, $65 for legal fees, and then lastly for the first 6 months of our property taxes we add on $1,789 for a grand total of $3,639. So in order to secure that loan, we need our down payment plus our closing costs. So in the last problem, we had to figure out how much money we needed to finance. In this one, we actually have to find out how much money we're going to be able to put down. All right, I got a total needed to secure the loan of $143,639. That's dollars. Alrighty, so that's all I have for you, and that is all we have for closing costs. I hope that made sense, but reach out if you